been here before, and he's great to come back here. He's the president of the Pacific Justice Institute, helped form that organization. Their mission is to defend religious liberties and parental rights, and they handle more such cases than any similar organization. Brad's motto is, we don't get mad, we sue. Brad was also one of our great speakers at the Unite IE Conservative Conference, and he's leading the charge to try to get the co-ed bathroom bill referendum back on the ballot after various county registrars unreasonably rejected signatures of voters when the rule is supposed to be favor the voter rather than take a very narrow, well, I don't think that signature matches, it's out. So hopefully he'll be successful at that. Thomas Jefferson said that the natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and for government to gain ground. Well, Brad and the Pacific Justice Institute are fighting back against that trend. So please welcome back to the Redlands Tea Party Patriots, Brad Dacus, and thank you, Brad, for everything you do for the cause.
It is, wow, this is good mic. It's great to be here, folks. I really appreciate it. You know, I tell you, President Obama has been the biggest disappointment. I don't know why I voted for him. Oh, wait a minute. That's not my quote. That's from some guy running for governor. Anyway. That's right. That's a Kashkari joke. Okay, never mind. Did you get it? Voted for him in 2008. Okay. Anyway, but it is really great to be here. I am really not a guest in that I am a part of the Tea Party movement, an avid part of the Tea Party movement. And it's with a great pleasure that I'm participating. You know, we have a number of challenges that we're facing. I want to give you some updates, talk about some of these illegal challenges, as well as delve into Common Core, and just sort of give you a real straight, a clear approach as to exactly what it is and why so many Americans across the country are becoming more and more and more alarmed. Despite the new propaganda TV videos, TV commercials, trying to sell it now because they see that the tide is turning and more Americans are becoming concerned about it as more information is disseminated. Even George Will just recently came out, very pragmatic, conservative I would call him, came out and just blasted it right between the eyes. So I think that that's going to be a real important topic for us to cover. But first I want to give you an update on some of our cases. As many of you know, we at Pacific Justice Institute, we are very aggressive. We handle more case matters, as was said earlier, on the West Coast defending religious freedom, parents' rights, and these kind of constitutional liberties than any other legal organization in the country. So we're very actively involved. In fact, how many of you presently get to receive updates via mail or email from Pacific Justice Institute? Raise your hand. Okay, very good. For those of you who did not raise your hand, please, I beseech you, please fill out those little white sheets on your table. You guys get those white sheets on your tables? Sort of wave them like this so other people can see them. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, not the big one, but the small white sheet, yeah. Very good, yeah. So please feel free to fill that out. And if you need one, just raise your hand and someone will, I'm sure will try to get one to you. But it's been really incredible what we've seen over the last years since our founding in 1997. And Attorney General Ed Meese at the time stepped up and told me he'd be more than happy to put his name on the organization as chairman of our advisory board. But since that time, the challenges have become more and more absurd. And the word I use is absurd because there's such a thing as being formidable, but there's also such a thing as being absurd. For example, a new law in California that says that it's illegal, absolutely illegal, for a minor under the age of 18 who's struggling with same-sex attraction feelings to be able to get counseling from a licensed counselor or licensed counselor who's clergy to help them work through those feelings, to work them out of those feelings and or out of that lifestyle, that it's illegal for them to be able to get that counseling anywhere in California. It's against the law. And so we at Pacific Justice Institute, we filed a lawsuit and to have this Yes. And we challenged the state of California and Attorney General Kamala Harris on this. A federal judge granted our injunction that we requested to halt its enforcement against our clients. And that was fantastic. The Ninth Circuit reversed it 3-0. Then we filed en banc, which means you want a larger, number of the Ninth Circuit hearing it. So we did that, and we had 10 justices. 7 agreed with the Ninth Circuit, but 3 issued strong dissenting opinions supportive of our position, which is just what we wanted: a decisive opposition on the record. And now we have filed a petition for certiorari to the United States Supreme Court. Please monitor this and pray for us that the court will take this up. It's a very important case. In the meantime, the stay has remained in effect, protecting our clients that we're representing in this important case. The federal judge in the matter went ahead and made the stay contingent upon the Supreme Court deciding it, not contingent upon what the Ninth Circuit says. So it was very nice. Another very important case we're also dealing, which is very absurd, and it's really tragic also. Once again, it's dealing with young people. It's dealing with youth. And we're talking about young people. That's an issue of where love and compassion really take over as far as our feelings. At least as a father of 2 kids, it does for me. This is a case where a new law was passed, and what it says is that boys who say that they feel like they're a girl on the inside, that they're allowed to go into girls' bathrooms, girls' locker rooms, girls' showers at the same time that girls are there. Biological boys going into girls' bathrooms, locker rooms, showers, and studies show that majority of those who have gender identity dysphoria, and it's a real mental condition. It's in the DMS book as a dysphoria. That the majority of them, they didn't ask for this condition, so we're compassionate and heartfelt for these kids who have this condition. But the reality is the majority of them are still heterosexually stimulated. So you see how problematic that is to have a policy letting these 16-year-old boys go into girls' locker rooms and showers at the same time that girls are there. Very problematic. And it's a disservice to everyone and a serious violation of the right to privacy of these young boys and girls. Can you just think about it? What would be the worst violation of privacy than to have a 13 or 14-year-old girl told that she's forced to take off her clothes and undress in front of a 16-year-old boy who's doing the same at the same time, and be subject to this at any time, anywhere, in any public school, in any locker room in the state of California? I look at that as the most egregious violation of privacy imaginable. So, and also, by the way, it allows a boy who says he feels like he's a girl to go ahead and join the girls' soccer team, girls' softball team, girls' basketball team. It allows him to do that, and which means a girl gets booted off. That's a violation of Title IX, but that's also in the statute. And so we at Pacific Justice Institute, first off, are looking for anyone who has been visually victimized or in terms of mistreated in terms of the sports teams, to contact us at Pacific Justice Institute, because we want to challenge this in federal court, but we need to have someone who's been negatively, directly impacted, like that 13 or 14-year-old girl, or boy potentially. Second is we're challenging this in the form of a referendum. As we know, some school districts are already adopted these policies, even though they don't need to, because with this referendum, we got enough signatures filed initially to stay this referendum, to stay the law's enforcement. But nonetheless, the Secretary of State's office has found that there were 130,000, they invalidated 130,000 of these signatures, of the 620,000 signatures, leaving us about 17,000 short, as was mentioned earlier. So now it's our turn, because we weren't able to look at any of these invalidations at all at any time. And we went into the counties, and in the counties they say, well, no, we're not going to let you look at them.
This is all privacy protected. We'll say, well, how are we going to defend it? They say, well, you just have to trust us. We say, whoa, wait a minute. This is not a banana republic. This is the United States of America. And we, the people, can hold our electors accountable for our votes to make sure that our signatures and our votes are counted and counted justly and correctly, and that we're not defrauded. Otherwise, we're just like a banana republic. And for those of you, by the way, who are from Central America, I don't mean that as any kind of an insult to Central America. Costa Rica is a beautiful place. Let me just tell you. Okay. In fact, we're moving there next. No, geez. I get you guys nervous. No, we're not moving there, or Texas. But the point is that this is a serious injustice, and so we have filed a lawsuit. And this, by the way, was after the Secretary of State tried to disallow any signatures from 2 different counties, Tulare and Mono counties. We had to go into court and have a judge order her to count those signatures. I mean, is that tyranny? So, and now she's appealing it, and we're fighting the appeal. But we're now having to go to court to have to, and we're serving all the counties all throughout California, and we're going to, subjecting us to potentially $35,000 roughly of fees that we may have to fork up on this. But this is so important. I'll give you a good post. Okay, good. No, okay, no. I'm just teasing. Anyway, but we're attorney, we're hams, okay, just so you know. No. But it's a very important case because we have to maintain the trust for the voters of California. And so please keep us in your prayers in this litigation. Once we get the signatures that were invalidated because they don't want to release them, the counties don't, then we can go and make our case finally into court. The bad news is this procedure will probably not be done in time to have it put on the ballot this November. The good news is that when, I believe it's probably when, if or when, but I think it's going to be when we do make our case successfully and we get a fair judge to make that case, and we do have enough signatures recognized, then we will have it in November of 2016 and will remain stayed until then. So that's really important for the sake of our children. Once again, if you haven't filled out those white sheets, please do so. And I just want to also, before I forget, I just want to thank the committee that heads this up, you guys, the fantastic work you do and the support. John, Greg, you guys are fantastic in how all the work that you're doing to bring people together to make an impact. Oh, excuse me. This is really weird. I got this call. Hold on. Look, I don't care if she's blind, a window, and handicapped. Take everything she's got. Take her house. Take everything. Well, yeah, I think it's a Christian thing to invite her to church too. Yes, go ahead. Now, that was a joke. That was a joke. Okay. Anyway, that went over much better last time I did it. But anyway. So no, we at Pacific Justice too. We don't do that kind of law. We're the good guys. So we don't take things from people. So like that. So anyway, it was a real important case. I want to now share with you about Common Core. How many have heard of Common Core? Raise your hand. Okay. Very good. Let me just give you the rough overview of what is seriously involved with this. Basically what it does, the concept is it takes the control of our schools out from the local government and the local school boards in a tremendous way. It takes it from as a national framework and then on down to state mandates, and then from the state mandated to the local government. It's a very serious issue, something that we should all be very, very concerned about for several reasons. First, let's take a look at the academics. I mean, the academics is very important. The silver lining, the good thing about it, I'm trying to be balanced here, is that it brings in what's called applied mathematics. Now, I remember when I was in school, I learned about sine, cosine, standard deviation. Do I remember what that stuff actually is used for? No. So this actually brings in more applied mathematics, more word problems,
things like that. That's the good thing. Now here's the bad thing. It dumbs down our kids' education. For example, Algebra 1 is being pushed back a full year. A full year. All right? It's not like our public schools are so far advanced that's a huge setback. And for public school teachers that I've talked to, it's a major frustration. For those particularly who are into higher academics, those who are going to be going to sciences, technology, engineering, math, serious setback. It's going to increase the need for remedial education on a massive scale across the country for those going into those math, science-related majors in particular. It's also engaged in unproven mathematical theories such as geometry. Geometry, the system of geometry, this new geometry curriculum, you know where it was used? You know where it was used last? It was used last in the former Soviet Union. And they dumped it. And now we're using it as this new, untested form of mathematical instruction with regards to geometry. The whole concept, in fact, was so outrageous in terms of the mathematics that the only mathematician serving on the validation committee of 29 or 25, I can't remember the number, but it's 29 or 25, the only PhD mathematician refused to validate it and was against it and said this is cheapening our educational quality for our students. And nonetheless, it pushed on through. So that's a serious issue in mathematics. The other one is dealing with the English language arts. The positive, the good thing, is that it will involve possibly more writing. And the students, that's the positive. Now here's the serious negative. You know all those classical fictional novels like Tom Sawyer and Island of the Dolphin, A Blue Dolphin, and all that kind of stuff? Those classical novels, the Greek novels, all that stuff? Well, the reading for those are going to be cut in half. In half. And they're going to be replaced with children reading short articles with op-ed pieces on controversial issues. And mind you, there is no requirements for fair and balanced here at all. It's simply up to what the teacher or the school district decide that they want the children to read and then give their critical opinion of. They think this is promoting critical thinking. It's not. It's regurgitation is what it's promoting without proper education. So this is a serious setback with regards to education. By the way, the Common Core testing that was done just recently in California, you guys are aware of those, that know the testing that was recently done? A gentleman from high school, he talked about the two op-ed pieces he had to write on. One was attacking nuclear power, the other attacking fracking, oil fracking. And there was nothing on the other side. So I think this is going to be a grab for indoctrination at a much higher level, at a much more rapid pace, at the expense of our children and the future of our children and our nation. So that's a serious issue. Then a third issue is dealing with privacy and data mining. Without question, I am very concerned about this. This is more wishy-washy in terms of we don't have the facts here to file a lawsuit and challenge it. But yet this is one where if we do find and can prove, let me show you what's happening. Here's the deal. It's against the law for private testing information and scores to be transferred to the federal government. It's against the law. They can have general overall statistics, but they can't have the actual test which can identify the student. Well, they say they're using these new codings, numerical codings, if you will, to protect the identity of the child. The problem with that is it's going to a third party, and then that third party, private business or industry, could potentially be using these and farming these out to other entities. And then it then goes to the federal government. Now, if you say, well, the federal government, we can trust them with their proper coding and privacy. All I have to do is say one word, Pentagon. If the Pentagon cannot keep their material secured and dealing with high-level military defense, can we really trust them with the privacy coding of no? And the answer is no. So this is something we're watching and something we're going to be challenged. Something in the immediate term that we're challenging And that is, we're defending the rights of parents to opt their children out of the standardized testing. It is your right as a parent for your child to be opted out of the state assessment tests with regard to Common Core. I recommend it, frankly, because a lot of the material invades family privacy, in my opinion. And as this plays out, we will go into court, just as I did back in the class test, where we got 4 different Superior Court judges to issue injunctions guaranteeing the right of parents to opt their kids out in the class test, which brought the whole thing down completely, and they had to scrap it after 1 year. In the same way, I think we could have the same impact here in California to bring it down by parents saying, my child will not participate in the assessment test dealing with Common Core. And so I think that's something that's, yeah, you can clap on that one. So we're actively engaged in this. I'm going to open up for some Q&A now because I don't want to take all your time, and because that's real important. Does anyone have anyone they want to sue? I mean, if you have anyone have any questions.
Questions?
That was a joke, just so you know.
Don?
You're absolutely one of the most handsome attorneys I've ever met.
Thank you.
You
I'm already
mentioned-
married, sorry. No,
You
go ahead.
mentioned a moment ago about biased content being slipped into the curriculum. You're aware of what happened in Rialto School District?
Was that dealing with whether the Holocaust really
Yes.
happened?
Yeah.
Right.
You might want to share that because
Yeah, that
that's
was
a prime example
This
of
is a classic example in Rialto School District where the teacher gave a short article they read. It was an article contending that basically it was possibly all propaganda of the Holocaust. And this was something that students were supposed to write their little opinion piece on after reading this persuasive piece. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was it the principal or the superintendent who was a Muslim? I'm not sure. Was that?
Superintendent.
Yeah, the superintendent is a Muslim. Now, I don't want to do Muslim bashing. We have freedom of religion here. It is awfully coincidental that this was the case. And by the way, did he come out and oppose this and apologize for it? No. So this is a classic example of the kind of manipulation that will be used in a very dangerous way for our children's understanding of history, science, and the realities. I'm sure they're going to get a lot of stuff about, global warming, or climate change. That's the new word. Now that we have blizzards.
Climate catastrophes, actually, is the newest phrase.
Yes. So, okay, next question.
Don, you said I was the most handsome attorney you knew, so I'm disappointed in that.
That's right. Well, it's...
Over here, Greg.
Hi, my question is, on what basis did the Secretary of State not count the votes from those two separate
Counties?
California counties?
The Tulare and Mono counties. Here's the basis. She said that, while they were turned in on time before the deadline. They said they were not turned in properly. Let me give you specifics. In Mono County, they were there on a Saturday. The deadline was on a Sunday. So they went ahead on a Saturday. The the clerk's registrar's office was closed, but there was a slot where you can deposit things, and once you did, they immediately became the possession and property of the county. And that's what the law is. And those were placed in there. But she said since they weren't stamped on Saturday, they were stamped the day after, I think it was Veterans Day or Memorial Day, Veterans Day. So therefore they weren't stamped until the work day after that. Therefore they weren't counted as before. No, they were turned in before the deadline and they became the legal possession and property of the county. And it was not disputed, the fact that they were turned in before the deadline on Sunday. The other one, Tulare County, was even more dubious. There was a Federal Express came to deliver them at just after noon on Friday. The office closes at noon on Friday. So then, Federal Express went down to the mail room for the county clerk's office, and we had government workers there in the mail room. They refused to accept the signatures. So then Federal Express had to return again on the following workday, which was Tuesday. The good thing is that the judge also said once again we were in substantial compliance. Those should be accepted as well because it's documented that they were there to be presented on Friday. And the judge says, oh, and by the way, under California law, when the deadline falls on a Sunday, it's moved back to the next, or moved up to the next working day, which would be Tuesday, which both of them met. So it is disgraceful, and the fact that she has the audacity to appeal. And by the way, that was worth about 20,000 signatures, so we'd be more than double in the hole had we not been aggressively, and our attorneys at Pacific Justice Institute aggressively pursued that. And our goal is to make sure no one's left on the side of the road and that every single valid signature is counted as valid. Our own attorney, by the way, Matt McReynolds, on staff, while they were going through the samplings, his signature was invalidated because they said his signature had changed. Well, yeah, he's become legally blind, and that happens. And so if you get older and your signature looks different than when you first registered to vote 40 or 50 years ago, then they were invalidating those as well, massively, all over. So, yes.
Well, doctor's signature sucks in a way.
Beg your pardon?
Doctor's signature sucks in a way, so that's there. Not regarding Communist Core, but with regard to the bathroom bill, we had a question in the back, and also when I was walking around with the bathroom bill, some of the teachers are actually saying that they're supposed to be implementing it already. So is that, I thought we're...
Yeah, let me give you information about that. Excellent question. Is it actually being implemented? Should it be implemented? Well, there are school districts like Los Angeles Unified, San Francisco that are implementing it. But do they have to? Now they have the option to have their own policies, okay? And they assume the liability when they do things without a state mandate, which is really, so that's why a law firm that represents about a third of the school districts in California, they came out and formally recommended, they said this is a murky, but they said their advice to school districts is not to implement it until this litigation is completely finished. That was an independent law firm representing about a third of the school districts. Nonetheless, the Secretary of State Bowen says, even though it disagrees with her former legal opinions, like last August, she wrote an opinion on I'm going to deal with Indian gaming, saying, oh no, with the referendums you have to hold off till everything is all resolved, even after the signatures are turned in. Even though she said that then, she's changed her position. She says, oh no, this is just to be treated like it's law, and so all school districts have to implement this. So I just see such a lack, and I don't like to attack people personally. I really don't, because I get attacked all the time personally for no, anyway. But I just see really a lack of professionalism and integrity of the office, if you will. The fact that she is doing and says what she says, causing so much confusion, when we have an independent law firm representing a third of the school districts, along with her own past written opinion, totally divergent to what she's saying and trying to do, I believe, for strictly political reasons. Very good question.
I'm just curious, if this is such a good idea, why does it apply only to school children? Why doesn't it apply to all adult bathrooms and locker rooms, including those for the legislature?
That's an excellent question.
Teachers and the superintendent.
Yes, the teacher superintendent, exactly. Let me touch on that. The original drafting of this, by the way, was for everyone. But then there was some pushback, and they thought, okay, we'll just make the boys and girls change and be naked in front of each other, but and use each other's bathrooms, but we won't make it people, adults do that.
Right.
And I think that just shows even how even all the more demented and insensitive and intolerant that those legislators in Sacramento have become. And I've talked on my radio show. You guys heard my radio show ever? Do you guys hear about it all on K-Wave 107.9 FM, Saturday mornings at 10:30? Okay, there's my plug. And I talked about this, and I said, if you're a Democrat out there, and you're listening to this broadcast, Republicans, Independents, Democrats, if you're a Democrat, he says, they're not representing you. Those Democrats you're representing and you're electing, they're not listening to you. They're listening to the big deep pockets from the extreme left that are funding their campaigns. And so that's the problem. We have a major disconnect between the Democrat voters and those that are elected that are doing things that are totally outside even the mainstream, what I may believe mainstream Democrats would support. Cheryl.
Yes, as I've learned recently in our town of Yucaipa, just over the hill, for Common Core, this summer, they're going to be installing all the computers and all the connections and going to the government for them to monitor everything that's happening with our students. As citizens, how can we best challenge the school boards or what's already happening
Good question.
to reverse this?
Good question. Several points. First, school districts themselves arguably can say we're not going to do Common Core. Now, that is a gray area right there. So what I just said, they may or may not win in court. If any school districts wants to challenge that, we at Pacific Justice Institute believe it's credible enough we will represent them without charge. Any school district wishing to challenge having to do Common Core. That's number one. Number two is that parents are required to be allowed to view all curriculum materials prior to the beginning of the school year, or at the beginning of the school year. That has to be reasonably accommodated by every school district in the state of California. And that includes all materials, including that which is downloaded. So that's the argument that can be made, and one way to challenge it is to say, I want to view these prior to the beginning of the school year. I want to see the articles that are going to be given to my child. The third thing that can be done is school districts can be pressured to form what I call a parental review committee. This is legal. And this committee would have to review and approve any of the op-ed pieces, these controversial articles, as suitable and or balanced in terms of what's being presented before they can be given to students. School districts should have parental review committees for this purpose to ensure balanced approach and age-appropriate materials that they feel is suitable and non-controversial or or insensitive is the word you want to use, or insensitive to the wide diversity of beliefs and perspectives of the many parents throughout this school district. Okay, we can work with you on the language, but that's the perspective to take. Has it been done before? Yeah. Santa Rosa, there was a hideous thing a number of years that took place there on the stage, on a talent show. It was a sort of a kind of a lewd reenactment of a sex scene behind a sheet. And we filed a lawsuit, and it ended in, as a part of settlement, that they had a parental review committee reviewing any materials, anything that was coming into that school district had to be approved by the parental review committee. That's Santa Rosa. Folks, if it can happen in Santa Rosa, which is not Tim Donnelly's stronghold, okay, it can happen here in the Inland Empire as well.
Another question?
Yeah, on counting the signatures and reviewing the signatures, are you being denied each county separately or by the state totally?
The counties are denying it, and the state, Secretary of State, is refusing to order those to be turned over.
Every county is denying you?
So far, the counties have denied us to have, all of them, has denied us to have copies of the invalidated signatures. And without copies, we can't go into court to challenge it. We can't say, Your Honor, this is what we saw. And we took a little tally here, and this is what the judges say, excuse me, this is all hearsay secondary. Whereas I want to have certified copies. Oh, Your Honor, the counties wouldn't let us have those. So what we're doing is we have subpoenaed, get this, we have subpoenaed directly, and some of you have probably helped us with this, each of the counties in California, every one of them. And by the way, and if we're not successful, we're going to have to reimburse them. So we're assuming a huge liability at Pacific Justice Institute. Our attorneys are working very long hours. It's very expensive. And that's why I want to say thank you to those of you who are supporting Pacific Justice Institute as we take on this very costly battle. Yes?
Really quick.
Yeah. Can we get our supervisors, call them, and can't they tell them they work for the county supervisors to turn them over?
Interesting. You could theoretically do that. I encourage you to do that. And you guys have some pretty level-headed supervisors, as I understand. At least.
Another question?
So,
Hi. I wanted to ask you about what you were just saying about the schools, if they were presenting the kids with inappropriate material. So me as a parent, I can go and ask them to review the paperwork, right? You said everything that the teachers are teaching?
All curriculum that's used for the instruction of your child, you're entitled to review that material at the beginning of the school year.
Okay, and then if I don't approve it, then what? What would be the next step?
If you don't approve of something, then you should opt their child out of that. And everyone should be downloading the opt-out forms on our webpage at pacificjustice.org. We have some great opt-out materials, 2 forms, one for Common Core specifically, but the other one general opt-out, which also deals with data mining as well. So definitely download those, use those, and then if you get any pushback, just contact us at Pacific Justice. We do all our work without charge. We are your servants, okay? Now, how many lawyers say that, okay? So we're here to serve you. Now, please, once again, if you could fill out those white sheets, and then when you do, if you could just sort of pass them in this way so we can get those before you leave. I don't want to interfere anymore with the time of the next speaker. Woody is a good friend of mine. He is a man in the middle of what's taking place, a dynamic gentleman, and I want to hear what he has to say. So thank you very much. God bless you all, and let's continue to fight, and let's win in November. God bless.
Well, I understand you have a fundraiser.